welcome to the show. So Janine Myburgh was on the show a couple of months ago, I think, and she's the president of the Cape Chamber of Commerce, and they're doing wonderful work when it comes to developing business, I think for more than 200 years, I think, Janine. Janine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's 212 years last month, to be exact. Yes.
That's a long time to be operating. I'm not sure if I ever spoke to an organization that's that old.
Yes, we're the oldest chamber on the continent and the biggest.
I think that's really interesting, and I think that a point to note at this point is that the channel itself recently joined and became part of that family, and we're very happy to be part of the family.
And we are very pleased, because it's about time that you joined, because that's where you should be if you want your business to thrive.
Of course. Janine, we're going to look at the chamber itself. I know that you guys have an expo coming up soon, and we're going to talk about some of the things around those expos and how they help businesses develop, and some of the future plans of the expo, or rather the chamber itself. Let's look at the history of the chamber again. I know it's a long history, and I know we've spoken about it in the past, but just perhaps to rehash all of that.
Well, 212 years ago, the chamber was established to solve battles or arguments between ships' captains. So it started, yes, it started with a mediation process, really.
So it was related to ships coming into the Cape and that sort of thing?
Into the harbour, and there were obviously lots of challenges, and we started with settling disputes. And that is how the chamber has started, and it's grown from strength to strength for 212 years. It's been in existence. We're very proud of the fact that with that 212 years, we've got the integrity that goes along with it. We are a respected organisation, and a lot of that comes from that we are not beholden to any political party, and that we are very much apolitical. So we represent business, whether it's we work with the political party of the day, but we are not afraid to challenge the political party if we are of the view that they are acting in a way that's not in the best interest of business or society.
So how does one define the operations of a chamber, and especially the Cape Chamber? When a businessman looks at this particular program, what does the chamber do?
Well, it's organised business. We have various roles we play. We do training, we do facilitation, we do networking, where people think it's only a networking function, but we do a lot of lobbying as well, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. If people have challenges with the local government, provincial government, we comment on new legislation. So we are there to be the bridge between the business person and local government, provincial government, but also to see to the interests of business. But what also that people don't remember is that we do a lot of training, information sessions. So for example, if there's new legislation that's pertaining to business, we would give training sessions on that. We've got the poppy legislation that's been around for a while, but we are still giving training on that or courses on that because there's been a need from our members for that. So we are regarded as the one-stop shop for business, but we have to ensure that our value proposition is something that the businessman needs or business person needs. Many years ago, if you had a query, you'd come to the chamber. Now if you have a query, you Google. So
correct, yes. So the dynamics has changed on that.
So it's a challenge for all organised business, and we have to ensure that we move with the times and that we stay relevant. And people still want to be able to talk to a voice, and people still need to interact. And if you have a challenge, how do you address it? And that is where you go to your chamber. But it's also not only challenges. It's for being a business owner, especially a small business owner, it's very lonely. If you are running your business, you think you're the only one with those challenges. When you interact with people in similar conditions or situations, you realize that many people go through the same challenges, small business owners, and it's there for a support base, it's there for information, and I sometimes think it's the school of business, but it's the school of life too. You learn to interact, you build relationships, and that is what business is all about. Obviously with integrity you must deliver your product, which you say, but it's relationships which you form, and that you can do at the chamber.
Of course. The one thing that you speak about a lot, and I suppose that a lot of people know to be a huge part of chamber operations, is that relationships, that networking with other businesses. How do you see that along the timeline of the chamber itself? The face of networking has changed through social media. It's changed through the way that we interact over televisions, radio stations. Has that impacted on the chamber's model at all?
Very much so. I mean, we would, for example, send out emails for our networking sessions, which we still do. But that's not the way you concentrate on your marketing. We're using social networks to market now as well, and we've seen that we've had a pick up in our membership or our attendance of our functions when we use different forms of social media and different ways to market. Many years ago we'd think that if you had a chamber board outside a building, that was enough, but that's not. It's sometimes some regarded it's even outdated to have a board, because you must have presence on social media, and that is what we are concentrating on. But we must also remember that there are many businesses that don't have, or the older generation that don't partake in social media, so we can't leave them behind. So it's a balance that we have to strike, but we have to move with the times. We have to ensure that we are relevant for our members, and that's where our members also help us often. They tell us what they need, they tell us what we want. We don't imagine what the business person out there needs.
Correct. So the Expo is coming up, and I recall the last time we spoke there was an Expo going on. When the chamber talks about doing these Expos, I know that an underlying premise is of course to create more cohesion between businesses, to expose maybe the smaller to medium enterprises and that sort of thing. Tell us a bit about this particular Expo coming up.
Yes, that's very much needed for all the reasons you've just mentioned. But it's important that we look at our functions that we've had before to see if there's still a need for that. It's no use that we have the same functions over and over and the members don't need it. But we've seen from our previous expos that there is a very big need for it, and the people are exceptionally keen. So we're having this expo again on Thursday at the River Club from 10 to 3. We are very excited. We've got a large amount of registrations as well already. We've got 53 exhibitors. We've got interesting speakers for the likes of SARS, access to funding, procurement, how to procure, various things that you as a small business person would need.
Of course. So when one comes into the Expo this year, what do we expect to see? I know that things have changed in terms of venues and stuff like that. What can the public get to see? Because I know that speaking to some of the people in your office, I think there's a greater focus on getting the public to now come out and come to the Expos itself.
Yes, and it's an interaction, it's participation. We've got one hall where we're going to have the speakers right through the day, so there's a full program, as what I've already mentioned. But then the interaction with the exhibitors, but also where you can network and get to know the business people that are facing the same challenges, or get to know the people with the success stories and find out what the success stories are so that you can model it in your own business.
Correct, yes. Janine, so the Chamber's gone through a long road. It's been, like you said, 200 and odd years, and it's a long time. Things change, as you mentioned, but we also, on that timeline, look at the future. So we know that you have a very extensive current operation, and there's a very long and big history going on, but the future is always coming. What's the plans?
Well, we're very excited about the future, and just in the near future for this year, we're planning another rumble in the urban jungle. We had a very successful one with Mr. Malema and Mr. Clem Santa. We're planning a business summit. We have a business studies initiative where we are piloting a project now with the MEC of Education so that business people can go and teach business studies on certain days. We are having our Exporters of the Year function, which is a great success. We have the International Women's Entrepreneurial Challenge, which is taking place in Belgium. So we've got a full program. but we are continuously ensuring that we reinvent ourselves, that we show that we remain something that the business person needs. Because if you're not relevant, then there's no purpose. Good. But we have seen through our loyal members and what our members want and what we are able to give that our members, that we serve a great purpose.
Tell us a bit about the back end of the offices in Cape Town. I recently visited and I saw a couple of people doing what they need to do. And we know that you've also moved recently. Tell us a bit about what happens in the back end. People seem to be busy doing their thing, but there's a team of people, and what's that environment like?
The people get used to, our members get used to going to our functions, and everything is very smooth and it's very perfect, and the food's fantastic and the speakers are fantastic, but they don't realize that wouldn't happen without our very competent secretariat at the Chamber. We have a staff of 26 who are continuously busy. They are thinking of new ideas for our members with interaction with the members. We've got various chapters which these staff have to support. We've got we've got a marketing person, we've got events persons. So it's a whole business within a business to ensure that the Chamber runs efficiently, to ensure that our members get the top service that is available. Something that we've also looked at the Chamber more to run it like a business and not just a charitable organisation that some have thought initially. So ensure that we are successful, but that we ensure our sustainability by making sure that we run effectively.
So there are many people watching the show now that are probably running businesses of their own and probably contemplating whether they should be joining the Chamber or not. How does one go about doing that, and or what are the fee structures involved for those businesses, because we know what the benefits are?
Okay, well, first of all, it's very important to join a Chamber. If you are contemplating, there's no choice about it. I joined the Chamber when my business was struggling, when there was no email or internet and the telephone didn't ring, and I don't know if you know what a loud noise a telephone makes that does not ring. So if you are contemplating it, don't even think about it. Join the Chamber, contact us. We are on the web, www.capetownchamber.co.za. Try it. If you don't like it, there's no reason you shouldn't carry on. The costs are just under 2,000 Rand for under 10 employees, and it goes up to just about 9,500 Rand for a corporate membership.
I don't think that's too bad to sort of get yourself involved, because the one thing that businesses really need all the time is that networking. So you come out and you need to bump into the right people that you normally cannot, because for instance, you need to see a very key person. That person, there's a challenge. It's go through the protocol, get through this. There needs to be a reason to meet, for example, and all of those things. But at the Chamber, I know that when you come out, you bump into very key people, and you can stand there on the side, having a snack, talking about a possibility that might be on your mind.
Very much. You get to interact with. For example, we had recently had the Minister of Finance come and talk to it. So if you remember, and he speaks at the Portfolio Committee, then you come for nothing. So if you have a challenge, we recently had JP Smith, the Maker member of Security. If you have a challenge, there you have the opportunity to interact with them directly. And if you had a challenge and you're a one-man band, where are you going to have the opportunity to interact with your Maker member, your MEC, or your national ministers? We give you that opportunity. And if you have a challenge and we don't have them coming to speak to us, we are able to be the leeway or the lobby for you to address your matters.
Of course. Janine, thank you for coming on the show. We hope to have you soon back again.
It's only a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that's Janine Myburgh. She's the president of the Cape Chamber of Commerce. As you heard, they've got this great expo coming up, which businesses can get involved with. Apart from that, Deen TV has become a member of the Cape Chamber, and we are seeing that benefits already.
fantastic. Last year we had it split all over the peninsula, but to combine it and to see the vibe here just brings you a lot of energy to the event. You might not get each and every contact here, but certainly information that's been offered on the other side, and access to the information, access to the funding options for you. I've just personally spoken to the DTI, and they've opened up the whole world for me in terms of my particular business. So I think it's exciting. It's hats off. The staff of the Cape Chamber, they do sterling work. It's just that we need to sometimes as business support them much more. I know that we're also in our own businesses, so we also need to make things stick from a business perspective. But I think the staff of the Cape Chamber, they're simply superb.
Well, I get to network with people that are small business owners, not just Muslim business owners, but those wanting to speak to the niche market of Muslims and wanting to get traction within the community.
Right. IMSM is an international company that does the implementation and certification of the various ISO standards. We've been in Cape Town for 20 years. We have assessors throughout the world that come into Cape Town and help the companies.
The actual exposure has been really good because the quality of clients we've had coming in now has been of the nature we do support. Despite being a multinational company, we assist small companies as well as big companies. And because of our personal relationship with our clients, it's an ongoing relationship which normally lasts for 3 years, and then we renew it thereafter all the time.
Well, we're here with a business called Maxibin today, which is essentially, it's a cigarette butt disposal system. It's simply a bin that goes outside shopping centres, buildings, developments, designating smoke areas, and it's simply it's a triangle, a cement bin which people put their cigarette butt in, goes down into a tray.
I've seen those before.
Yes, yeah, it's a very simple system. We collect cigarette butts and waste in there. We collect them and we dispose of them in a very environmentally friendly way. We don't just put them back into land waste, goes into rivers, etc. We make sure that we incinerate them and the smoke gets scrubbed, etc. So it's a very environmental process that we go through to ensure that the cigarette butts don't go back into the environment. Warrior on Wheels Foundation is essentially an organisation that is involved with special needs, kids in wheelchairs, and taking them on adventures. So we take these kids out ziplining, we take them horse riding, we take them river rafting, we do all sorts of adventure activities with them to let them experience life. So often these kids are found to be, their families are found to be in survival mode, they don't go out much, they're in between therapies, occupational therapy, physios, etc. We take these kids and we let them experience life. So we get involved with the tourism industry and we say, open your adventure providers to these kids, to us, we'll work with you to make them more accessible and get these kids living life as such. And we love doing that.
Well, I can say to them, they must keep the good workouts, but they mustn't drop the ball. But they need to go out there and attract those who are still not touched. But this is a great show. The Chamber must continue to make sure that their impact is felt, not only here in Cape Town, but also encourage other people who are doing similar job with them to follow suit. Because I think I've never seen something like this. I was even asking myself, where do they get such a number? This is quite impressive.
I think Old Mutual's identified that it's important that the private sector, and especially the bigger businesses like Old Mutual, are supporting the small to medium enterprises, and the opportunity to partner up with the Cape Chamber of Commerce was a really, really good thing for us, in a sense that we'd like to help with the smaller businesses because of the need to stimulate the SME space in South Africa. You know what, Cape Chamber, I'm really proud of what you're doing. I'm really proud of the fact that you're partnering up with the smaller businesses. Let's do some more of this. Let's look at how Old Mutual can support these events, and going into the future, let's look at how many businesses we can get off the ground.
We didn't expect this at all, and the people are still continuing. We had to sometimes stop the people from coming in. So definitely, we will have a bigger venue and we will have more exhibitors next year. This is only the start of it, and we are exceptionally pleased that we can service our members to such an extent. Oh, we're very excited and exceptionally pleased. This has clearly shown that there's a very big need for this. I've spoken to some of the people, the deals that are being made seems to be astronomical. The need for the queries that have been raised with the speakers have been all good. The only negative complaint we've got is that they would like to have it in a longer period of time. So it's fantastic. We're very excited, and we can see that we are fulfilling a need. Once again, the chamber is where opportunity meets. It's sometimes the chamber is like a duck on water. You see it calm on top and it's paddling underneath. And if it wasn't for the staff, we would not be here. They have arranged everything. They've arranged the venue, they've arranged the media, they've arranged the spectators, the people attending, the workshops, everything. So our hats are off really to the chamber staff, and we can't say thank you enough for that.
So as you can see, there's a huge amount of people that rocked up for this event. I think the Cape Chamber, I'm not sure if they expected all of that. Very exciting, people exchanging business cards, people networking, and that's what the Cape Chamber is all about. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.